This is the sound of a seesaw at my local park, but it's not my favourite way to balance. This is the sound of me tiptoeing on the wall down to the beach, but it's not my favourite way to balance either. This is the sound of perfectly balanced rocks at the beach. It's my favourite way to balance. And that was the sound of them all falling apart. My name is Michael Murphy, and this is episode 8 of Vacilando. I show Luke a picture that I think summarises my life, and I ask him to describe it.
See some rocks.
Rocks stacked on top of each other.
Balanced on top of each other by the water.
Beautiful, clear water surrounding the sculpture, just inviting you to jump in.
Maybe down at Second Valley. Yeah. Jetty in the background, people on the jetty, people walking along the rocks, some blue sky, some white clouds. It looks beautiful.
Just like my life. Balancing stones is very special to me. I love taking a stone in my hand and finding the unique way that it will find its home in the sculpture. It's never about equal weight like we often see with balancing. It's about adding pieces to make a sculpture that's beautiful in a way that almost defies physics. It makes me stop and wonder. Today we meet again with Luke Ritchie, principal of St Andrew's School, Walkerville, and we're going to talk about balance and the sculpture that he's creating at the school. But first, Luke, how are you going?
Very well. Very well. It was freezing, I will be honest. This morning when I was standing out on the road under the bridge, greeting families at 8 a.m, it was absolutely cold. And I'm still trying to warm up a couple of hours later, but I'm very well, thank you, Michael.
A couple of long blacks helped you get there,
Yeah,
I think?
4 shots of coffee got me going strong.
All right, so I'm trying to get you to keep still by the mic. You're expanding. Is that right?
Yeah.
What are we building?
So since we've last got together for a chat, we are expanding our early learning centre. We're putting in an additional room for our 4-year-old program because of enrolment demand, and also expanding at a year 6 level, which for us as a standalone primary school is a beautiful moment in our story. So to be growing across our school and also retaining enrolments, which is a challenge for standalone primary schools, is a really nice place to be. And in our 175th year, we're also investing some money with our community support in refreshing our beautiful old historic hall as well.
In the last school I worked at, we were undergoing a massive rebuild of almost $60 million, and the principal at the time was across every detail, both in and out of the school, to the point of picking finishes and colours. So how do we do this? Like, as a principal, how do we balance the micro kind of strategic elements of, I really want to be a part of that, but also I'm just going to step back because there's different wisdom in the room. How are you working through all that? Because I'm sure you want to be a part of it all, but you can't be a part of everything.
No, and it's also not empowering leadership to take the reins at every level. So I am completely fortunate to work with wonderful professionals who have got different skills to me. Some of them are the same, but when we think about our early learning centre, for example, the ELC co-directors and the staff in the ELC, they spend more time in early learning centres than I do. I'm up there every day saying hi, taking tours through, having lunch with our 3-year-olds, all that good stuff. But they are ultimately the experts on the space that they're going to be leading in, teaching in, caring in. And so for me, it's about being a part of the decision-making process, working with our board, working with stakeholders around the high-level concepts and saying, is there a need for this? Can we justify this spend? Yes, we can. So I'm helping tick those governance boxes with our governors around ensuring we have got the finances to do the work, ensuring that we've got the story there to support the spend, and having conversations at a high level. But I won't be involved in picking the paint colours because ultimately I think that should be up to the staff and students that work in that space. And we've also got a branded colour scheme here at the school, which is lovely.
There's no secret about the branded colours.
No, there's not, which will flow through the space. But I'm one one piece of the planning conversation, and because I work with such wonderful people, I feel really fortunate to know that they will do a great job in their element of the decision making.
And so, how do we balance creating a school and spaces for kids that we have now, today, and those who we can't even imagine being at the school yet? How do you arrange your thinking to be a school for today and a school for tomorrow and the more distant future?
It's a really interesting concept, and one of the things that we've spoken about with these three capital projects that we're working on is we want them done now for now. So that's a unique element. We're not saying we want this to be ready for 2029. We're saying we want this ready for 2026. So we are literally about to hit go on the ELC in a couple of weeks' time, and it will be ready for next year. The year six space will be ready for next year. And so, yes, the current year six cohort won't be a part of it, but it will be ready for current students. So for us, these three projects and the hall in particular, which is really it's the heartbeat of our school where we have so many beautiful moments as a community. We want that ready for next year as well. So business director Chelsea, who is an absolute gun at her job, and I have been walking the path very closely and saying we need to ensure that these projects don't drag out. And that was really clear in our tender process that we wanted the work done now, for now. Now, there are some other projects where they're more, I guess, aspirational, where you say, look, this is something that we would love to do in 3 years' time. And that's a very different proposition when it comes to the storytelling around the projects.
And your days when we first met you, Luke, were very full before the 10 a.m. that we met. And now you're adding architects, project managers, and all sorts of others. How does that impact your days?
It's about prioritizing and actually mapping out in my planning for the coming 6 months my priority areas, my workload, and delegating where I need to. Our business director will play a key role in the delivery of those projects as well. So it's not all me, it's the team. But I've already had a meeting with the board chair. We meet fortnightly and have a really great working relationship. And we've already mapped out the next 6 months of priority areas for me. So it's really clear in my relationship with her. When we have board later this week, I'll be sharing more broadly with the board what I've shared with her. So there's a clear map. It's not like we're all of a sudden saying, let's just throw 3 capital projects in and hope that it works. Actually, we need to be really strategic about everyone's capability, everyone's workload, and do it in advance so that success is achieved. Because otherwise, if you throw 3 builds on top of a normal school life, it's not going to be successful for anyone.
But you're throwing 3 builds on top of 175th year as well. So we've got all that pageantry that's gone along, because not every year do you meet with videographers, once a month or something like that for
very
a period.
regularly. Yeah. And not every year do you have a beautiful gala cocktail party, all that good stuff. So there are some things where, I know our head of marketing and community engagement, Sophia, this is a huge year for her and for her team in particular, because we are event heavy. But then I also think back to last year and the year before, and we were doing a full rebrand and full new website and updating our presence online, which has been super successful. And that sits under Sophia's scope as well. So there's always more to be done. And I think that's the challenge of schools, and particularly independent schools, is people are always saying, what's next, what's next, what's next? And we need to say, well, actually, our plan clearly says we're about nurturing greatness in young people, in our staff and in our broader community. And if it doesn't align with that, we're not interested.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to share that image of the balance stones to start off with, because it's really easy to think of balance as, if I'm going to add something heavy, I need to take something away. But that's not what this is. Like, you're not taking anything away because you've got 3 build projects. You're not taking anything away from your comms team and your marketing team and your events team, because that's just not the way it's working. It's about making sure that they do balance. And if, for whatever reason, we have a topple, that we know how to pick it back up.
Yeah.
So is that where your leadership kind of pivots a little bit this year, that it's, whilst it's a big pageantry year, maybe you're not at the front of it, but maybe you're guiding a couple of elbows here and there? How does that change? Or is it front and center?
Oh, we're all part of it. And I think as the principal of a school, you're always front and center. but it doesn't mean that I'm always the voice at every event. Being present's important. Being a part of things is also important as the principal, but it's not always me, all about me. It's about this incredible team that I work alongside, and we share the load in a meaningful way.
So much of the way that Luke speaks is about empowering others to step into their leadership strengths, which is clearly something that Luke wants to be a characteristic of his principalship. Alongside this, Luke speaks of exceptional people of the past with quite public and notable legacies. I recently went down a legacy rabbit hole conversation with a mutual friend of ours, John, and I've been thinking about whether Luke's collaborative, empowering leadership of the school aligns with having a bold and public legacy that he sees and values in others.
Big question. I'm really focused on ensuring the rich connection between the church and the school is in place. That's something that's really important for me here at St. Andrews. We were started by the parish, and for me, I don't ever want that to drift, that connection. I want it to be strong and meaningful and purposeful. That's something that I'm focused on. If I was to think about what my legacy would be when I leave here, how do I want to be remembered whenever that is, be that in 5, 10, 20 years' time? I want to be remembered as someone that saw the best in people and helped them to make a positive impact. And if that's the message that is remembered about me, then I am nothing but happy. First and foremost for me, I want to be a present and involved husband and dad. I never want to be sitting down when I'm 60 and have my kids say to me, "You weren't there, Dad." That would absolutely break my heart. So that's number one. I also want to be using the skills that I've been given in a meaningful and purposeful way. And that's here at St. Andrews. And so I love building capacity in individuals, in teams, and in businesses. And so if I can do that in an impactful way, be it small, medium, large, then I'm happy. I often think if I was hit by a bus, would this place still function? And absolutely, I can say now that yes, the strategic plan is clear, it's embedded. We've got exceptional leaders at the executive level and at the leadership team level who are doing really meaningful and purposeful work in building their teams. So it's so much bigger than just me as one individual. So that's a bit of a roundabout answer, I think, to the question around legacy. I want people to feel heard and valued and supported, and for them to make a difference.
Are you going to be okay if it's not memorable, your principalship, because it was unremarkably empowering?
Yeah, if I walk out of here whenever that is, and by the way, I have no intent of walking out of here anytime
We should
soon.
clarify that.
Let's clarify that. And this place has been built around professionals being empowered to impact the lives of kids in a meaningful way, then I'm nothing but happy. I'm not focused on creating a legacy around me as a leader. I'm about us all making a difference in the lives of kids so that ultimately they can then make a contribution to society. So if my principalship here is seen as unremarkable because of that, then I'm more than happy for that to be the case.
As a very remarkable man, that's a remarkable thing.
I genuinely don't think I'm a remarkable man. I just think I'm someone that is trying my hardest to make a difference. And if a bit of that sticks and a bit of a difference is made, then I'm genuinely happy. My happy place is just in my jeans and black t-shirt and cap, and being present with good people, be that in a family context or in a work context. Obviously, I'm in a crisp white shirt and a blue suit and a blue tie. Again, I think I was probably in this last time, but yeah, for me, I'm not focused on being remarkable. I'm just focused on having a red hot crack and doing it in a purposeful way.
Our principals are each speaking about deliberately using their strengths and their time in ways that empower the community. Be that as they build more mature structures and cultures, as is in Julie's case, or looking towards the big bold changes in a really dynamic time for Jess. There's obviously a real intensity around time for principals.
That's principalship. Ultimately, at the end of the day, is that balance between whenever I step into a space, being calm and measured and thoughtful in whatever it is, be it with 3-year-olds, be it with 8-year-olds, be it with the mayor, or be it with parents, but actually being really strategic in what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, and what I'm doing. So you're always, as a principal, having to think about those things. I don't ever walk out of my office and just sort of float around and go, oh, let's be unpurposeful with our time here. Everything I do is purposeful, and it has to be, because if it's not, then I'm wasting precious minutes. I don't get hours with every team member every day. I get moments with people, and I want that moment to count. I want that moment with a year 6 student where we might sit down and talk for a couple of minutes about their project to count. I want that moment or that interaction I have with a parent in the front office to matter. I want them to feel that it was a purposeful moment as well. So yeah, you have to be very intentional often around what you're doing.
As a middle leader and then a senior leader and now principal, is that different as you've gone through those roles?
Yeah, I think the demands on your time as a principal become greater. Probably greater is not the right word, different. Because if you're a middle leader and say you're a middle leader that's teaching, you're pulled in every direction. As principal, you're pulled in every direction. It's just different. Um, but I guess as a principal of an independent school, everything that I say and do does actually matter. I can't just be relaxed and off the cuff with every stakeholder that I meet. I have to be thinking about, and not in a negative way, but in a purposeful way, how can I use this engagement with this person to make an impact? Now, that impact might not be saying I want to get a donation from this family, or I want to, move a jigsaw puzzle this way, that, or the other. The time could be I want them to feel good about themselves after this 2-minute interaction, or I want them to feel heard or supported or encouraged. So yeah, being intentional is important.
This doesn't sound like the jeans, black t-shirt and cap person, but then as you ultimately described what that purpose might be, it did much more align with that image. In my conversation with Paul, he asserted that Luke would probably be the one principal of our trio who was already in term 1 thinking about 2026.
Yeah, I think so. And again, from that first conversation of the first episodes, Luke is probably a bit more pronounced about his prioritizing.
Is that kind of true? Do you get a sense of, as an experienced principal, your day is balancing the immediate that morning, but then also raising the eyes and thinking about next year, the year after? But then also, I guess the question becomes, again, how do we balance that? Is it just, as you come back to a few times, is it just being purposeful, or is there something more to it than just being purposeful?
It's a good question. I think absolutely the onus is on me as the principal of an independent school to be thinking strategically, to build strong and capable teams so that I can be thinking strategically, because this place deserves that. So if I'm not doing that, I'm not actually doing my job in a highly effective manner. Now, yes, this role is a juggle. So as we spoke about in the first conversation, a million things will happen in a couple of hours. But the longer I spend in the principal seat, I'm now in my 9th year, the more I feel comfortable actually investing in time to build strategy and to be purposeful in that space. Because if I'm not thinking strategically, if the board's not thinking strategically, then who is? I mean, ultimately, that's our job, is to be thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 years out. But that pain point of principalship is the constant jump between, all right, 2030. Oh, I'm actually starting to have to think about 2035. Oh no, I need to come and have a 2-minute interaction with this amazing 3-year-old who's just drawn me a picture. They don't care about 2035, but I owe it to that 3-year-old to be thinking about 2035 because I want this place to set them up for success in 2035 and beyond.
And the reason that you keep speaking about empowering the people around you is so that 2035 vision can be created by both yourself and others and enacted for that 3-year-old who
Yeah.
has interrupted you. And it's the best interruption you've had all day, but has interrupted you on your way to your next meeting.
Which is interruption for want of a better term. The
Absolutely,
the best moments. And my EA Joe, who is just the most wonderful human and the most exemplary professional, she knows that if a group of kids come to my office door and I'm in a meeting, and it happened on Friday last week, I was having a workforce planning meeting with our HR manager in advance of an executive leadership meeting. And Joe had these kids come to the door who wanted to have a chat about, I think they'd seen an insect in the playground or something, like, Mr. Ritchie will love this. So Joe knocked on the door and those kids came in and we had this most beautiful conversation about the insect that they found on the rocks by the playground. Because ultimately, we're here to serve kids, and I am here to serve kids, and I want them to feel known and valued and listened to. And so for me, those beautiful moments in the day that are unplanned with students are the best moments by far. Workforce planning is important, but talking about insects with 6 and 7-year-olds, that far outweighs it.
I think Joe did that for you, not for the kids.
Yeah, and very much she probably did. It's probably both, because the thing I find really fascinating about principalship is all principals started out as teachers. I started out as a teacher and have got such great memories of having, say, my year 5 class at PAC and creating 4-ball soccer, where we just had the most fun and we learned about collaboration and soft skills while we were out being active. And and now I find myself sitting in the principal's office of this beautiful independent school and I don't get time for 4-ball soccer. And some principals, some stakeholders would say, well, you could make time for that. Well, actually, I think the role of an independent school principal is empowering others to then do that and creating the space and the time and the resources and the structures to help other people experience that.
So this, to me, I just drawn back to that question about legacy then, of if you're holding your quest for legacy so tightly, no one else will get theirs. If you're holding your quest for a 30-minute game of 4-ball soccer, someone else misses out on theirs. Your deputy doesn't get it if you get it. And so is that something as a principal, is it about letting go of things that you love and being okay with that?
Yeah, there's a part of you would almost probably call sacrificing some of the things that you love doing. Not all. The days are so diverse when you're principal, but yeah, you do sacrifice some things because you are required to do other things. I think about a conversation that I had completely out of the blue 2 weeks ago. It was actually a message I got on LinkedIn from a student that I taught 20 years ago, and I have not seen him since. And he reached out to me to share a really important life moment, studying at an Ivy League school in the US, doing amazing things. And he's at a bit of a crossroad moment, and he reached out and he wanted to have a conversation with me, his former primary school teacher, about this big life moment. Now, I hadn't had anything to do with him for 20 years. And it brought me to tears, actually, that he would reach out to me and want to have a conversation about his life. I mean, that's probably the real legacy piece, is going, well, am I making a difference in the lives of those around me for the better? And that was one of those rare moments. I've never had a moment like that before. I've been at the pub and I've had, students that I taught in year 2, now 19, serving a beer at the bar. I've had those moments, but I've never had the moment getting a message on LinkedIn from a former student about which university should I go to do my PhD, and it being top tier global universities. So yeah, I mean, making an impact is what I'm about.
Your most important job is that of parent. You speak about being a dad, and one of the things that we do as a dad is we drive our kids to an event, and then one day they're going to make their own way there, and we sacrifice that really special half an hour in the car, and our child has that special half an hour with someone else. And that, to me, speaks a little bit to what you're talking about, is that, yeah, I lose that half an hour, but when they get home and they need to speak to me about something, that'll be my new place to step in. So maybe we're not, we're sacrificing a moment but gaining another one as a principal, or is it a complete sacrifice of some elements?
I don't think it's a complete sacrifice. It's a shift. It's a shift in how you use your time. So as the principal, I can influence the 550 students here at St. Andrew's School by ensuring that we have got enough money to deliver a great structure in order to enable the next four-ball soccer to be created by 20 exceptional teachers. Whereas when I was one teacher working with a teaching colleague to create four-ball soccer, it was just the two of us. Whereas here, I can make an impact on a broader scope of people of all ages. So it's different. It's different.
Up until this point, I've been looking at the role of principal and taking these steps alongside our principals in their year. Now, well, I want to go back and restart the series with a new mindset. See, this is what Vacilando is all about for me. It's about walking alongside someone in their life, not just their role. If I truly look at principalship as being a part of an evolving career, I can celebrate with these principals the elements of being an educator that they don't get to do as often, and celebrate them the new tasks that they get to do. It's really hit me. We drive our kids to school every day as parents, and then we don't. We take them to all their parties when they're young, then we're on call to pick them up. We see their life milestones, then we start getting phone calls about them. We go from being there every day to thinking about them every day and looking forward to their wedding day. Is this what's going on with principalship? The importance of the role changes in your career? As a teacher, we were once there every day. But now as principal, these people are part of the lives of kids in different ways. What we get to do in being able to Vacilando with these incredible people is to see them sculpt their career, their life. Thank you to Luke Ritchie for talking us through legacy, sacrifice, and balance. My name is Michael Murphy, and this has been episode 8 of Vacilando.